Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the August 14th edition of Mid-South Wrestling for 1982. We are moving quite well through the year of 1982. We've got the entire year of 1982 as available on the WWE Network and the December of 81. We are going to go back and fill in blanks where we can after that is complete, after the network stuff is completed. Network is incomplete as always. Of course, what in WWE isn't incomplete? Anyway, we see from Houston the crowning of JYD as the king of wrestling, and this is a Houston partnership that seems to kind of go in a direction of being a mutually beneficial partnership for Mid-South and Houston that seems to last for a little while. I don't know how far, but I can at least attest to the end of the year. Bobby Heenan and Nick Bockwinkel are there, and the Junkyard Dog is defending some sort of king of wrestling crown of some sort. Bockwinkel, I will say the footage from Houston is relatively grainy looking in comparison to the camera view from the other area. Bobby the Brain Heenan on the outside with Nick Bockwinkel. Bockwinkel, I assume, is the AWA champion there, and again, a lot of clips. Paul Bosch and Jim Ross are giving us kind of the down low on all of this, and, kind of talking us through it. They don't really give us a whole bunch of footage, which I don't really understand if you're going to have a partnership, but they just kind of talk about and talk over the nature of that. Douglas and DiBiase versus Bond and Barr. Douglas and DiBiase Duggan and DiBiase officially a tag team now on a consistent basis. Jesse Barr with a new sparkling ring jacket. Barr again has come through the area quite well. DiBiase, your North American champion. Duggan on the outside cheering for him, and actually it helps me make sense of why they seem to get along quite well in their WWF run. And now that I know they had this tie-in, I had seen it before but never put it together and had watched stuff out of circulation. DiBiase pretty simple with his approach to things. Duggan with a spinning neck breaker, which is rare for Jim Duggan. Also, Duggan cranking down on a inverted chin lock, and we see DiBiase and he cutting the ring off. Barr spending a good bit of time in the ring, takeover there, and working the arm. And the tag in, Bond comes in. They cut the ring off on DiBiase. Of course, DiBiase, your North American champion, multi-time. Duggan comes back in, big kick under the chin of Jesse Barr, and manages to again cinch up on the hold. Duggan with the power advantage, and he's kind of dominant, especially a big suplex when DiBiase with a big suplex, and then a figure four on Bond to get the victory. Then we move to Dr. Death Steve Williams in another one of his enhancement talent matches for the area with Tug Taylor, actually. I don't think Williams... No, I am wrong. I just saw the face and thought it was Williams, but actually Tug Taylor making his debut here. My mistake. Against Iron Mike Sharp. Sharp has continually been in a feud with Akbar and company for a little while. Power pretty well. Taylor has it, actually gets a full Nelson on that looks pretty intense. If you just glance at the face of Tug Taylor, you can easily mistake him for Steve Williams. Not when you look at the body type, but just a face shot, you can get that mistake going pretty simply. Anyway, shoulder tackle and a drop kick by Sharp. Sharp manages to stay upright through it all, and until he gets slammed um, by Taylor. Taylor misses an elbow drop and doesn't end well for him there. Back to the armbar, kind of a weird hold to put on at that particular juncture. Referee has to back Sharp off and manages to continue doing that in a pretty aggressive thing. Sharp not very happy with at least part of the way the match is going. You can see his intensity rise, and he goes for the inverted uh, chin lock there. Uh, Elbow to the back of the neck by Taylor, and Taylor continues to hit a shot to the midsection on Mike Sharp. Sharp again manages a couple of shots and an Irish whip, followed by another drop kick. This one a little higher and a little off center, but it doesn't really matter because a pile driver by Mike Sharp manages to get him going towards a victory. Rolls the man back in. 1, 2, 3. Notice that the pile driver always or almost always leads to victory, even here in Mid-South. Odd that the pile driver is banned in other areas, but not in Mid-South. We move to another match, and the pacing of the matches moves quite well. This time, Rick Harris, otherwise Hangman Harris, with Skandor Akbar, facing off this time in a bit more of a challenging match with a returning adversary that he hasn't seen in a bit. And of course, being Dick Murdoch. Murdoch was here for a good number of months in the last little while, but we haven't seen him in a month or two in the area, and so good way for him, meaning Harris, to get some ring time with a veteran. Obviously, late 60s start for Murdoch, and Murdoch manages to be, a masterful seller. If you're not familiar with Dick Murdoch, get familiar. Arm bar and the like, manages a shot by Harris. Harris manages to cut things off. He's a bit more of a brawler. However, Dick Murdoch not going to take a backward step either. He manages to hit a hip toss into a reverse chin lock, and Murdoch manages to keep things going pretty aggressively and assertively. He's not going to take a terrible backward step. We see Harris staying right on Murdoch, and pretty aggressively so. It sends him into the corner. Big back body drop by Harris and a clothesline in the corner, and he breaks the match down into a inverted chin lock, actually sitting on the man's back. This is more about, at least from my perspective, Harris getting some much needed experience and just being in there with a guy who can talk him through a longer match. Big slam and then a kick to the top of the head by Murdoch. Murdoch then topples the man with an elbow to the top of the head, kind of like a bionic elbow of Dusty Rhodes. Of course, that makes sense because they were primarily tag partners in the AWA. Abdominal stretch, jockeying for the position anyway. The army bag of Murdoch comes into the ring at the hands of Skandor Akbar. Akbar, however, nails Harris in the head with it, so that doesn't go according to plan. The brainbuster by Murdoch gets him the victory. 1, 2, 3 here. And then we move to Precious Paul Ellering up next. And obviously, he has been a pretty big babyface, although being in there with Billy Starr just as a filler match, probably not what Paul wants to be doing with his time. I think the match is taped on the same day because he's in the tie-dye tights that we saw a few weeks ago, which are relatively new. Hadn't seen those before. Starr trying to get an advantage with go behind, but Ellering takes him down and kind of keeps him there as long as he can. But they get back to a vertical base, and there are some shots by Ellering. Ellering takes him out of the corner, tosses him across the ring with a hip toss that's pretty assertive. And then we see the continuation of that chaos going roundabout, and then uh, Precious Paul manages to um, get a side-like takeover. Star pulling the hair, even though most of the time he's claiming his hair has been pulled. That's not the case. Hard shot by Ellering, who manages then to go for a head scissors and locks it in pretty aggressively for a little bit. Star tries to spend the next couple of minutes getting out of the head scissors to no real avail. Hammer lock and a good shot there. Now we see a continuation of the hammerlock by Ellering, and Ellering tries to not let his man back up. However, Star gets back to his feet, and we see that lead to Ellering eventually picking up the victory here. And he is able to do that after a vertical suplex, among other things. The snap suplex, think that the neck breaker, which seems to be a major move in the area. 2 or 3 guys have used variations of the neck breaker. Neck breaker gets him a victory, but also to think that a vertical suplex in this era or a few years before would be reason for a guy to get a victory is a pretty big deal. We move on to Killer Khan in a enhancement talent match. Khan's still here. I'm assuming they're going to do a blow-off with Andre the Giant pretty quick. I don't remember the name of the enhancement talent. Tommy Saxton, who we saw with DiBiase a week or 2 ago, is here, and, it's actually an armbar and a hammerlock from Khan, which is weird because you're used to seeing him do more of the brawling type stuff. And then we see the takeout and the shot, and actually digging at the nose and face of Saxton. Akbar seems happy on the outside. Double chops, almost like the Mongolian style chops, and ripping at the face of the adversary. Pretty aggressive maneuvers by Khan, to say the very least. And Killer Khan hits a running clothesline, among other things. Khan makes his way to the second rope on the inside, hits the diving knee, and gets the victory. We go then next to a promo with Jim Duggan, or actually the promo is after this match. Mr. Olympia and Romano are going at it, and the official promo from Duggan and DiBiase is up next. Slide through the legs, a sunset flip attempt by Olympia. Olympia coming up with the red and white starred mask, so he's always changing masks, always trying to be a little bit ahead of being different. And then we see the hammerlock from behind into the abdominal stretch, also into a takedown, the arm bar and the like. Romano not getting what he wants out of that as the match goes into the ropes, and that is pretty basic. Again, staying on the arm is Olympia. Olympia manages to keep things going in his direction. Of course, he's the master of the sleeper, and eventually does use it here after getting a few more near falls and continually working on the arm. Simple fact of the matter is you can keep the fans with something as simple as an armbar in 1982. Wish you could still do that here. A couple of drop kicks by Olympia, and he has the fans. Of course, he has been the Mississippi champion for the majority of our run here in the area, and he does get a victory here. Duggan and DiBiase say they've been treated unfairly. They want the tag team championships, among other things, and that is how we close this week's edition of Mid South. We'll be back with more right after this.